Thank you, Goncola. I'm a building contractor. I've been a building contractor all my life. When the Land Development Agency was launched in 2018, it was to have two functions: to strategically manage state lands to ensure they were being put to the best use to deliver 150,000 homes over 20 years. That is their function, and that is the way they should have managed it. Now, as I said, I'm in construction myself, and I've been in construction all my life. I've been a local councillor in the Derrick Hill district, and then you have the Kilmallock district, and you have the Newcastle West district in our rural areas. If the Land Agency gets this through, it will destroy rural areas. Why? Because the Land Agency won't look at the areas where they have poor infrastructure. I spoke about this there recently, where there was a house being built in Hospital, County Limerick. 15 of the houses were able to collect to the local storage system, and 6 of the houses have to have their own private storage system on a housing estate. What we're going to see here is, you're going to look at the areas that have infrastructure, that have the storage infrastructure. And the last agency that was set up, you can see what happened with Irish Water. How it became an absolute disaster when it was set up. The council, when they were looking after the water system, there wasn't issues. Irish Water, you might as well try and get through to the president at the moment than trying to get through to Irish Water to get stuff done. The infrastructure was in big trouble. So with the Land Agency, if they take over, they're going to forget about the rural areas. The 2040 plan has been introduced at the moment. It's going to stop houses being built in rural areas. I was born in a rural area. I've grown up in a rural area. I've raised my family in a rural area. I should be allowed to build, and my family, and my friends, and my relatives, and anyone within the community should be allowed to build in their own areas. Sorry, is there somebody talking in the background? I can hear backfeed. So
can't hear it here.
I can hear it up here. So what I'm saying here, if the Land Agency have it in a right structure, they will cover the rural areas where there is poor water, poor storage, and they're all at capacity. Ula at the moment, no capacity, you can't build a house there. You go to Skeeton, 30 years waiting for the storage system. And how many governments have we gone through in 30 years that have promised it? Now raw storage has been pumped into the Shannon Estuary. This is what we're up against. And on the other hand then, we look at, if you give it to the councils, it's buried in paperwork. And it goes around and around in circles. But the bill as it is not right. The bill needs to come out, and it needs to cover all areas. It needs to show where the investment is in the rural areas, in our towns and villages, that make them sustainable. We are entitled to our infrastructure as much as people are within cities. There is towns and villages that can become self-sustainable if you put the proper infrastructure in. But the Land Agency will not do that. They will only go where there is existing infrastructure, and they're going to forget about the other rural areas. Everyone is entitled to their culture. Everyone is entitled to live within their culture. We've had for generations people, whether they grew up in a farmhouse, whether they grew up in a cottage, whether they grew up in any part of a rural area or a village or a town, should have the right to come home, and the infrastructure should be in place by the government. Unless there's guarantees that this bill will provide equally across the board for all areas, towns and villages, I can't support it. Because the same thing will happen as what happened with Irish Water. The infrastructure is being pushed into the cities. The water at the moment, they want the water to run to Dublin. If you want water in Dublin, why not pay Limerick for it? We have no problem, but you'll invest in our infrastructure if you want it. The same with the land development. If you want this to pass, why not invest in the whole rural area and bring all the counties with you, regardless whether you're in an urban area or in a rural area. That's what I'm looking for, and because of that I won't be able to support it. Thank you.